Hello, Out Entrepreneurs. Rhodes Perry here, and welcome to episode number 20 of The Out Entrepreneur, a weekly podcast where I get to interview today's most inspiring LGBTQ bosses crushing it in business. On today's show, I am really happy to host a fellow Portland podcaster, author, and entrepreneur, Annie Weller. Annie, are you ready to inspire fellow Out bosses?
I am.
Awesome. Okay, a little bit about Annie. Annie is a true Northwesterner, raised a proud sputter, which is a term I just learned, from Richfield, Washington, and is a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians. Annie has more than 16 years of experience as a small business owner with deep expertise in supporting organizations with strategic development, brand management, sales, marketing, among many other talents. She's a business coach, consultant, and author, and I am super excited to get a copy of her upcoming book, The E Word, Struggles of a Minority Woman Entrepreneur, which is going to be released this fall. So to kick off the interview, Annie, tell us a little bit more about your business and what makes it unique.
So I'm a passionate serial entrepreneur. Also, being Native American woman in the entrepreneurship world has been a very interesting, and it's been very challenging at times. There's not a lot of people that have been in my same situation that are from Native American tribe, a woman and an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I did was I became a coach and a consultant for small business owners, especially minorities, women of color, and the LGBTQ communities. I feel that what makes me probably unique as a business coach is I'm also a consultant. So I just don't ask you questions and have you figure things out for yourself. We figure things out together as a partnership. So that's really what I needed when I owned my own marketing and advertising firm, which I did for over 11 years. And I was a sole entrepreneur and didn't really know what I was doing. And I reached out to a lot of other organizations like the SBA and so forth, but everybody that I was hooked up with, mentoring and so forth, and other entrepreneurs was older white men. There was not a lot of women of color, and especially I don't know very many at that time Native American women that were doing what I was doing.
Yeah, your personal brand, and I know that you have a background in marketing, your experiences of being a Native American woman, and also your experiences of just getting started as an entrepreneur and not really seeing other people like you. It sounds like that was a motivator to really create and build out the successful business that you have today. You're doing a lot of things, and I'm really interested right now, what is the one thing that has you most inspired about your business today?
Really working together with others and building partnerships. We developed this really thought-provoking and creative process together. And not only does it inspire my clients, but it also has inspired me to be a better me and a better entrepreneur, a better boss. And them bringing their experiences and they're bringing their knowledge, and us communicating and building a partnership together it becomes magical. It's the only way I can describe it.
I love that. I know that you have your book coming out. How is that fitting into what's inspiring you right now to just get your message out there to other folks that can really benefit? And as you said earlier, just for folks just getting started, not knowing what they're doing, how do you see that book as expanding on your business and helping people that really could benefit from your message?
Well, one of the things about the book is it's not a self-help book, and that's in big, bold letters on the front of the cover. And I wanted to make sure that nobody thought this is a self-help book. I read an article in Forbes about women entrepreneurs and the 10 myths, and it was talking very negatively about women entrepreneurs. And to me, I was thinking, they don't even know what they're talking about. One of the examples I like to use is passion versus being over emotional. Men in general are very passionate, but women, when we show passion, we are showing that we're over emotional. And really that chapter about passion versus being over emotional is about my experiences, not only as an entrepreneur, but also when I worked for a large cellular network company that I will not name. It was very interesting how people try to write a self-help book, and really it's just, I want people to read my story and maybe it could inspire them to make a change or make a difference in somebody else, or even just look at somebody in a different light.
Definitely. Now, for many entrepreneurs, it seems like we were called to start our businesses for one of two reasons. The first is that we either felt a calling to pursue a purpose-driven idea, and the second is that we could no longer conform to a workplace culture that didn't value who we were. And Annie, I'm curious, which one of these motivators resonates the most with you and why?
Oh my goodness, I had to pick one. Well, it was very odd when I started my marketing advertising firm. I was in grad school, and it really turned out to be a project in school that turned into a business. And I was very lucky to find other people that were as passionate as I was to help small businesses succeed. But then when I moved into the corporate world, I was the third person away from the CEO, and I was in a board room with all white males that were all over the age of 50. Not saying that I'm a spring chicken. I was in my late 30s, early 40s at this time of going in there, but it really made me look at my world in a different way, my professional world, because it was also starting to affect me personally and affect my relationships personally. I wasn't happy. I was miserable. And I think that's how I started this road that I'm on now of being a coach and consultant to people. I really want to be there for others and really empower them and them find their sanity, how I found mine.
And on the topic of workplace culture, clearly you've had experiences that weren't the best in a more corporate setting. I'm curious right now in your business, what's one thing that you do to create a more inclusive environment for those that you work with? So that could either be staff, it could be contractors, et cetera. But, just thinking, especially for folks who often feel excluded by dominant cultures of workplaces, especially in corporate settings, what is, one thing right now that you're really conscientious of and want to double down on?
Even when I started my first company in 2005, I believe I had two straight allies. Everybody else was in the rainbow of the LGBTQ. So I've been pretty much part of the community and have hired people in the LGBTQ community. And it hasn't been something that I've done consciously, just let you know. It's been something that's been very organic. I think that we attract people that have the same passion and the same community and the same ideas, be that personal or in business. Currently, right now, one of the other organizations that I co-founded with my sister called the Leadership Lab, we're a nonprofit and we do career academic and transitional coaching. And we support minority, veteran, and LGBTQ communities. So in regards to our staff and also the consultants, I want to say the last time I did a RFP, I think it was 68% LGBTQ, and we were 50% people of color, and we're about 70% women. So we have I think we only have two consultants that are male. So out of everybody that I work with. And not saying we would like more men to come and join us, but it's kind of like the energy that you put out comes to you.
Yeah, that's been a theme that's popped up on the show around attraction, mostly around attraction of clients. But that's interesting, in terms of the people within your workplace ecosystem that are drawn to the mission of your organization and business. So I want to switch gears a little bit and focus in more on your identity. And specifically, I want to know if being LGBTQ influenced your journey to become your own boss.
This is an interesting subject for me because I'm bisexual. And as some of my friends know, they have thought that I'm just Annie. And so I've never really stated what my identity is. I just, hey, I'm Annie. So it's just a very interesting topic because I've never leveraged my LGBTQ status. If anything, what I've done is I've used my status to help others and becoming the vice chair of the Equity Foundation, for instance, and really getting out there and supporting other LGBTQ people in the community and in the business community.
I want to dig a little bit deeper there. For myself, I'm bisexual as well. There's biphobia that is pretty ubiquitous within our culture. And so I'm interested if you could take us back to a time where it was difficult for you to be an out boss, and specifically being bisexual. And this could be a moment where you were challenged with being out because you were either afraid of losing business or you felt unsafe. I'm just curious if you could share this moment with us and hone in and get super specific by letting us know what was going on for you and how it potentially impacted your business or just your own psyche.
When I worked for the cellular company, it did impact myself, and I was, I guess you could say, somewhat closeted, because there was people that were gay and lesbian, and then there was a straight people. It was either or, and I was in the middle. So some of the people that I worked with were very shocked to know that I was bisexual, which I thought was very odd. I think that it shouldn't be a shock to somebody. It should just be like, oh, okay, and let's move on. But there's just more questions asked. There was jokes that were said that were very inappropriate from LGBTQ community in that company and also with the straight people. I think there's, like you say, that biphobia. And so I am out, but as I say, the way I came out is I'm just Annie and I love everybody. I hope that makes sense. It's really hard for me to explain my story.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting that you're sharing this specific story in relation to when you were an employee of a corporation. And so thinking about your business, can you help amplify some of the benefits of being just Annie, unapologetically being bisexual, to help those folks who listen to the show be really inspired about taking that first step to building their own businesses? You know, how has just being unapologetically 100% who you are benefited your business and or benefited your own sense of confidence and contributions to the world?
So I feel it's very interesting. Thanks to a few friends of mine that have been very honest about my feelings that are also bisexual, I've just recently, I feel like, came out of the closet in a way. I'm in my 40s, in my mid 40s now, and I'm starting to feel more confident being able to say I am bisexual. Before, was not confident at all. I didn't think that it would hurt my business or hurt my friendships. It was just something that I never fully embraced myself. I think, being a child of the 70s and 80s and growing up as an urban Native American, I did not grow up on the reservation, and with parents that were somewhat homophobic and growing up in a somewhat religious household, it wasn't something that was just spoken. But I've learned to embrace it. And the first few times I said that I was bisexual, I had knots in my stomach because I was really curious how people were going to judge me. Because when I did in my early 20s tell some people I was bisexual, it was like, oh, well, you're just an equal opportunist. I remember that having a conversation with somebody, which I think made me shut down. But I've always been a part of the LGBTQ community in some way.
And this is really interesting. So considering both the ups and the downs of being an out boss and all that comes with that, what do you want our listeners to focus in on and make sure they take away to inspire them to be their authentic selves in their business?
You need to be your authentic self. You need to be who you are. You need to really embrace and not worry about what other people think. And I think that was one of my issues, is I was really worried about what other people think or thought about me. We have to sometimes be our own guide for our own passion and our own values and really embrace our own strengths. And one of those strengths is who we are as our identity and being our authentic selves.
It's a really freeing moment when you're just who you are. And as things come up to talk about your family or in my case, like your gender history, it's an opportunity to really build connection with people. And as you said earlier, when thinking about attraction, you're attracting people that you want to work with and who really value the unique value add that you bring to a project or to a coaching client, etc. So one additional question before we go to a sponsorship break. I know that you're very involved in the community. As you think about your business, what's one way that your brand, your business gives back to LGBT communities?
Well, I've been on many boards. I feel that that's really important. When I go out and I speak, I really talk about diversity and how important diversity and equity and inclusion is. When I go and work with the city or the state, I talk about how our content that we have, the content that I have, is built around that pillar of diversity and equity and inclusion when I'm teaching my workshops and my classes.
Nice. This is really amazing. And I want to keep asking you a lot of questions, but right now we're going to go to a sponsorship break. And for listeners, please don't go anywhere because when we return, we're going to jump into our bonus round.
HR and diversity professionals. Are you struggling with engaging LGBTQ talent? Do you stay awake at night worrying about limiting litigation risks? Have you considered seeking support around these concerns, but just aren't sure where to turn? Look no further. Rhodes Perry Consulting offers you solutions with the Engaging LGBTQ Talent A to Z certification. This proven 4-week mentorship program delivers skills, offers support, and connects you with other professionals committed to transforming themselves and their workplaces. Learn more about this cutting-edge program by visiting rhodesperry.com and use the promo code RPC for a 10% discount. Take action and visit rhodesperry.com.
Welcome back, Outbosses. We are now going into our bonus round where we'll have the chance to get to know Annie just a little bit better, gain some insights on how we can bring our whole selves to work, and learn one way we can stay in touch with Annie after today's conversation. So Annie, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Sure, I will try.
You're going to be great. Okay, so did your LGBTQ identity hold you back from taking the entrepreneurial leap, or did it speed up the process?
I think it sped up the process. I wanted to really be a leader in my community and show that anybody can do anything.
Nice. And in one sentence, what does it mean to bring your whole self to work?
One sentence? You're killing me. I'm a talker. Enjoyment. How about one word? Enjoyment.
Nice. And what's one personal habit that helps you master yourself and your business?
I treat my professional life like I do my personal life, and I take time out now to have personal time with the people that I love and I care about.
Yeah, balance is so important. And sometimes, especially when you're working on a business that you love, it's sometimes hard to balance that. So thank you for that reminder. And on kind of a semi-related topic, name one thing that you readily delegate in your business to stay focused on what you're good at.
Yeah, almost everything.
Nice.
No. Well, I know that I can do my own accounting. I like to use this as an example, but I hate doing it and it takes me forever to do it. So I have an amazing bookkeeper and CPA that keeps me on track. Also, I hire consultants to help me when I'm stuck with something or just to brainstorm. I hire people and I surround myself with people that have complementary skills and experience. And that's one thing that I really love is working with the diverse people that I work with. It's awesome and amazing.
Can you share a book or a podcast that has contributed to your success as a boss?
Strength Finder.
Yeah.
2.1. Yeah. So that was the first book I read. My sister got me into coaching and she knew I was miserable at where I was working. And in fact, when I left my job to go full time as a coaching consultant, I gave my boss a Strength Finder book. And I told him, maybe one day you might be one of my clients.
Oh, wow.
I went out on like a baby bang.
Wow. So Strength Finder 2.0, we'll have that in the show notes for sure. A few more questions. So please share one piece of advice to inspire the next generation of outbosses to take that first entrepreneurial leap.
Follow your passion, follow your strengths, you already have this core belief and value system. So use that and when you're building your business. And as a side note, just remember about your personal time and your personal space and to take care of yourself. It's really important to take care of yourself. You can get really lost along the way.
That is great advice. So follow your passions, find your strengths, balance. All excellent pieces of advice and good reminders for folks like me. So Annie, thank you so much for your time and for inspiring fellow outbosses. Before we go, please share one way we can stay in touch with you and learn more about your business.
You can go to annieweller.com or email me at annie@annieweller.com, and I'll answer any questions or anything that you have.
Excellent. So we will also include that in the show notes, and there will be more information about your upcoming book there. So really, really excited about that. So for Outbosses, thank you again for tuning into this week's episode. It is always my pleasure to connect with you and with so many inspiring outbosses like Annie. As a next step, check out the show notes for today's highlights from our conversation, subscribe to the podcast, and consider leaving a rating and review in iTunes. For now, keep being your authentic selves 100% of the time.